Welcome to the Grow Rich podcast by Tech Help Canada, where we share the best online marketing and general business tips. Now for today's host.
Hello and thank you for joining me today at the Grow Rich podcast. My name is Gabriel Monterali, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about headlines. So in my 10 plus years of writing copy, I have learned over time that the headline is the most important part of your copy. It's the least amount of text, but it's the most important part. So when you start writing copy, for most people, it takes them about 2-3 years, maybe even 4 years, before they realize how significant the headline is. So the more advanced you are in writing copy, the more you realize that the headline is very important and you need to spend more time on it. Don't get me wrong, most people, when they start writing copy, they know the headline is important, but they don't know how important it is. So they spend just enough time on it. But just enough time is not enough for coming up with really good headlines. You have to spend a significant amount of time depending on what you're doing. I mean, if you're writing some articles and you do a lot of those, you might already have some ways, some frameworks to work on, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more at the end of this episode, that you can use. But your headline is just so important. And I'll just give you a quote by David Ogilvy that sums this all up in terms of how important your headline is. He says, on average, 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. When you have written your headline, you have spent 80 cents out of your dollar. Now that sums it up right there. It also creates a, I would say, well, it doesn't specifically create a visual, but if you want to create a visual of this, think of your headline as something that just yells at the viewers to stop. Like they're scrolling on social media, they see your headline, and the headline says, stop right now. And they see the stop sign and they stop. Another way to think about it that I've heard, which is probably better, is a good visual. This one was, I can't remember exactly who did this one. I think, this was Alex Hormozi, who said the headline needs to grab the reader by the throat. I think that's a very good visual on this. So, excuse me, I'm a little bit. I think it's allergy. I'm having allergies because of the weather change. So bear with me here, but I'll get through this. Okay, so, and that's how you want to think of your headline. Now, it takes a while to get there, to get to that point. I mean, even after for some of you, some of the people listening to this, you listening and everybody else who's listening, it might still not stick after this episode. But I'm going to do my best to try to make it stick. So that way you can write better headlines and in turn attract more users to your content. Now think about it this way. There's 3 sites ranking on Google. The first one has an okay headline. The second one has an okay headline. The third one has a very, very good headline. Which one will be clicked? A lot of the times you'll find that the one that is clicked is going to be the one that is ranking number 3. And because the headline is so good, what happens over time is that Google will eventually put that as number 1 because the signals will tell it that people prefer that copy. Now, the copy might not be better than what the other people put together, but it has a better headline, and that gets people to engage with it. And if the copy is good enough, that headline will basically the headline starts the momentum in a way. The person sees it, they go, oh wow, that relates to me. I really like that. That really speaks to me. They click on it, they start reading. As long as you don't mess up anything else, usually they'll consume the rest of your copy. If you mess the body copy up, they'll stop reading. So everything is important, but your headline is most important because that's the first thing that the person sees. So let's just go through the benefits of a great headline. We already covered one, which is it grabs attention instantly. And we also just touched on a second one, which is click-through rate. It increases click-through rate. More compelling headlines equals more clicks. This works on any platform: YouTube, Facebook, Google, Bing, anywhere. The better your headline, the more clicks you're going to get. Sets expectations. So your headline tells readers what they'll get. And it does improve SEO. That's another benefit that a lot of people don't talk about. But I just touched on that earlier too. Well-crafted headlines help with rankings and search visibility because the more people are clicking on your stuff, even if you're not ranking number one, the better it is for you because the algorithms read those signals and then decide where to place your web page whenever someone searches for related terms. So it does improve SEO. So one thing I like to tell my team to do is you need to work on the headline, and that includes your meta title and your meta description. So your meta title and your meta description, very important from an SEO standpoint, and because it's the first thing the searcher sees. So the better you make those, the better it is for your SEO. Headlines also drive emotional response. So, think curiosity, urgency, fear of missing out, or just value. Headlines trigger action. The right headline on a lead magnet will get people to do what you want them to do, providing you don't mess up everything else. Establishes authority. When you have clear, confident headlines, it builds trust right off the get-go. People go, huh? Right away they're like, this person gets me. Depending on how you write that headline. If you write headline that speaks to people emotionally, usually the first reaction is, okay, these people get me. Now I think they're worth listening to. Let me see what they have to say. And then of course you got to have everything else right. Everything else needs to be right. Your body copy needs to be good. You probably want to add some social proof after you've finished speaking to the individual. And, if you want to make your copy in general very effective, always speak to one person in your copy. That's how you improve it. Just pick one avatar or one persona and speak to that persona, that target audience. And if you speak to them, you usually come out with better copy. Last thing I want to mention is your headline will boost content shareability on platforms like, social media and just any platform, any social platform in general, even email. Like people will share your content more if it has a great headline, it reads well, and it will spread faster. When you have a good headline and it reads well, it will spread faster. Oh boy, what is that sound? Okay, well, not sure what that is. Hopefully nothing broke. But, okay. Back to the show. All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how to create great headlines. We know the benefits, but let's talk about how to create a good one. Okay. And then at the end of this episode, I have something special for you that we have just put together that will help you create good headlines, better headlines, much faster at record speeds. Okay, so to create great headlines, we obviously have to know your audience. You have to know who you're speaking to. Again, one avatar or one persona. And then you want to lead with a benefit. So focus on what the reader gets, not what you do. So, if you're if you offering digital marketing, and your target keyword is digital marketing services for small business, for example, the instinct will be to just say digital marketing for small businesses because on an SEO perspective, that's good. On an SEO standpoint, that's good. But you really want to get a better headline in there. So you might want to find a way to work in your H1 without making it the focus, which is something I've started doing way more often. So that way I don't mess up the ability for the copy to rank too much. So that way I don't push the headline, because we know that in SEO, the closer your keyword is to the beginning of your headline, the better. So if I don't want to push the keyword further down my headline, then I probably want to find a way to have the H1 without making it the focus. And one way to do that which is something I'm beginning to do more of, is to have an H2 that is bigger than the H1. Make the H1 smaller and then have an H2 right after it. You might, as long as it flows well, you'll be fine. I think that works. In my experience, that has worked, to be able to mention your H1 without making it the focus. And then you have your awesome headline as your H2. Now, with headlines, you want to try to use numbers or specifics whenever possible. So odd numbers like 7, 13, whatever, right? 13x for X, right? 13 this for this benefit. Those often perform well when you have numbers. But then you also run into the challenge of, you have 13 copywriting tips, and then somebody comes up with 50 copywriting tips, and then the next person comes up with 103 copywriting tips. And it just never ends because everybody is just using the skyscraper technique and basically creating more copy and more. And it's just like, okay. So you got to think about that too with numbers, using numbers on your headline. But in general, they perform well. Now, try to trigger emotions or curiosity. So make them need more. Make them need to know more. So try to do, whenever you can do that, try to do that. Keep it clear, not clever. So clarity always beats cleverness, 9 out of 10 times. Whenever you're writing your headline, you want to write it in a way that a third grader could read it, but it's still impactful. Obviously, your audience comes into play too. Like if you're dealing with a very sophisticated audience, maybe you want to move it to a sixth grader reading level, right? But in general, always go for simple. If you go for simple, it's always better. That goes for your headline and your copy. Add power words when possible. Words like proven, simple, free, very powerful one. Secret, guaranteed, another very powerful one. We actually have a list of power words. I think I'm going to link to that I'm going to provide you with that link in the description of this podcast episode, and you can go check it out. I'm also going to provide something else, which I'm going to reveal at the end of this episode. Another thing you want to do is use test and refine. So you want to A/B test your headlines if possible. So you might have 3 headlines, and then pick two of the best ones out of your 3 headlines. Maybe you've written 10 headlines, 20 headlines, and then out of those 20, you got 3 of them, and then you want to weed out 2 out of those 3. You want to take out 2 out of those 3, and then you want to test them. So in some cases, it's valid to test. You can do A/B testing. Even if you run a WordPress website, you can actually test your headlines even if you running a blog, like you can test it and you can test how those changes um, make your pages perform on the SERP, and obviously readers as well to see how that works. So it doesn't have to be ad copy. You can test headlines for articles too that you want to go viral. Now, here's what I want to share with you guys. So we put together more than 50, I believe it's 56 headline formulas that you can use to create your headlines really fast. So I'm going to add a link to that, as well as the one I mentioned earlier. So there'll be 2 links to 2 great resources that you can use to create really good headlines. You're going to have the one for your power words, and you're going to have the one for your headlines. Bookmark them, return to them whenever you want, and use them. That's how I use them, and that's how my team uses them. And good luck writing great headlines. Remember what we talked about when we started this episode. Your headline is the most important part of your copy. Treat it as such. And you want it to grab the reader by the throat. That's just a visual, obviously, but that's really how you want to think about your headline. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.